You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the Paranormal Pop Up Show. My name is Kerry Greenaway and tonight for the roundtable discussion I am joined by the lovely Kaz Rooney. Good evening, Kaz.
Good evening. How are you, Kerry?
Buzzing. And how is Gemma? Gemma's joined us in the studio tonight. Good evening, Gemma. How are you?
Good evening, ladies. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely buzzing.
Buzzing? Is that what we're going with?
We're going with buzzing. Just come off the back of the show with Jane Harris, and I've dragged them into the studio to do a little pop-up show. So if you're listening, then come into the chat room and be part of our round table discussion. Now, our lovely Kaz put a question up earlier, Kaz, didn't you?
Which one?
Well, she likes her questions. About what topics are taboo in the paranormal.
Yes.
So I went with money.
Money. Kerry's went with money. Lack of
Money's
money.
A good one.
Lack of money. Why we ain't got money? Why are things so expensive?
This is true. Well, I hear so much criticism about people making money out of the paranormal. And spiritual, actually. Not just the paranormal, spiritual side of things. So what's your take on it, ladies?
What money? Who's making money?
How the hell?
Money?
There is very, very few of us actually make money out of paranormal investigations. Let's be realistic. Very few teams and companies do. I know I've run my own teams, and I know that on most events, I'm out of pocket. Yeah. By the time you've paid the location cost, your insurance cost, your equipment cost,
your travel cost,
food and drinks, travel, what money? Yeah. What money?
Oh, I thought everybody was in it for fame and fortune, and we're not making fame and fortune?
Well, I think we're obviously doing something seriously wrong because that's not happening.
This is very, very true. Whoever says that you can make a stack load of money out of the paranormal, unless you got in, I would say, started off, 10, 15 years ago when it all hit the TV shows, when you start, if you'd started then, going back in time, then you would have had a chance to have built that business up like some of the big companies that are out there. But a lot of the small teams do not make money out of the paranormal, do they?
No,
definitely not.
Generally, as Gemma said, you're out of pocket.
So if you do make a profit, then is there anything wrong with that?
No, if you're
personally, no.
It's a business.
Exactly, yeah. If you're running it as a business, then surely the idea is to make money. That is the idea of any business. I mean, let's go on to supermarkets. When Asda's opened, other supermarkets are available, but when they opened with the intention of making money.
Yeah.
Most of us in the paranormal world, yes, there is people that are in it. Look, I'm always controversial, me, and I say it as it is. But there is people out there that do want to come into it to make money. But 98% of us are in it for the passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. So when we sell tickets for a paranormal event, we're actually selling them as an experience, aren't we really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not sitting there going... Sorry,
here's the thing. Like, if I'm going to do... This is the way I have always worked it is, like, the chocolate factory that I'm doing in October. The price was £20 per person. I pay £20 for my ticket as well. I include me in the numbers. I include me paying for my place as well. So I'm putting not only my energy into running this event, but I'm actually paying to be at the damn event that I'm running. So
you ain't making much profit there if you're paying for it. Surely, if you're running it as a business, your costs should be covered. If you want to look at it coldly,
the problem that you've got with that though, and this is just in my opinion, is if you do that, then to make a profit, you're going to have to put your prices up. You put your prices up, and let's be realistic. Not everybody can afford to pay 90, 100, £110 per event. It's a lot of money. I know that I wouldn't pay that. I would not pay that sort of money to attend an event, without a doubt, because I'd rather spend that money on my children.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, you've got it's probably a bit of a taboo, shouldn't really say this, but the whole Allied Sanctus thing.
Oh, she went there.
Classic people who deliberately went out of their way to make money. Sorry, but the scam people. They went out of their way to make money, and it was nothing to do with the locations and anything else. It was just purely greed. And that has left the paranormal community with this whole paranoia. Who do they trust? Who do they not trust?
Totally. There is a lot of doubt in the paranormal field at the minute. People are like, do I really want to put a deposit down?
What if it's not happening?
Pay money, exactly. But I mean, what people need to do is, if they're unsure or if they really are concerned about where the money's going, ring the location and ask them whether said company has an event booked. They will say yes or no.
Yeah, they will.
Well, sorry guys, kids. I'm not making funny faces and pointing and stuff at my children. I am live, by the way. Sorry. Yes, but it's no different from a builder. I'm going to kill my children in a second. It is no different from a builder where you have that distrust of the builder trade, for example.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're all laughing because they can see my monkeys /children playing up behind me.
Me and Kaz was trying to be really good then and not just burst out laughing.
Little buggers is all I can say. I have told them I'm live again, but then they're not listening to me, clearly. I can't wait till they go back to school and get worn out. But yeah, it's so different though from the builder's trade, where you get a builder in, they give you a quote, they come in, they do a really bad job, and then go away again. So it's not just a paranormal thing, is it?
No, exactly. It's the same in any trade. Any trade, you've got the potential of being out of pocket. But most companies, especially the smaller ones, like I know Kaz has been around for a while. Yeah. I've been around for a while. You've been around for a while, Kerry. You know, just that sounds awful, doesn't it? But just Facebook, Google us, search us, and you will soon see who you can trust and who you can't.
I agree. I totally agree.
This is the thing as well. I've said it quite a few times, but people will go and say, right, I'm going to book on this event. Say it was one of mine, and you were coming along to whatever it was I was doing. If you booked onto that and you want to see my public liability insurance, just ask me. I'll email you the public liability insurance. But people are scared to ask in case they offend the people they're booking with.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be like that.
I wouldn't be offended. If somebody said to me, Gemma, I'm booking on an event, I want to see your public liability, I want to see your receipt for deposit paid at location, I'll send them it. We've got nothing to hide. If you've got nothing to hide, then you're not bothered about the questions that come.
No, that's true. Okay, then. So what's our thoughts about a free location, then?
Oh, I love a bit of urban, to be fair.
Should you charge, though, for an urban?
Depends on which context.
See, I personally wouldn't, because if it's urban, then, I'm not... If I'm going for me. I do urban exploring for me. That is my time to not necessarily gain my passion back, but that's my time for me to improve my abilities while ghost hunting. It's one thing having a public event because you are too focused on your guests, and are your guests having a good night? Do they understand the equipment? Do they understand what's happening? When you're urban, you're not doing that. That is for you.
I mean, you've got locations like Paranormal Charity Warriors at the minute are looking to book 3 log cabins up at Pendle Hill.
Oh, fab.
So obviously we need to charge to cover the price of the log cabins.
Yeah.
But it's all staying in it. But also we're raising money for lipodystrophy, and we're going to be looking after everybody all weekend. So we've got to cover that. But some people might say...
But that's different though, Kaz.
But some people might say it's not.
Hazel Ford had this though, didn't she? When you think about it, when Hazel Ford was doing her Pendle Hill weekend, she got heavily criticised on Facebook for doing a free, air quotes, location and charging what I think it worked out to be about 250 quid. But the person who criticised her didn't check into what they got for their money.
No.
They got the coach, they got the meals, they got the hotel, they got a Simon Entwistle, they got not just that, but they got an investigation in that. They got a lot of things in that.
So for that money, for me, I would say that the cost of the travel, the location of sleeping, food, that would come if you was to pay for that out of your own pocket.
You'd be really
pay more. Yeah, you would pay more than what you would pay for that one.
I agree. But she got heavily criticised because it was classed as in someone's head as a free location. But it's annoying because there are still costs. Even if you do an urban explore, somebody's going to be using your equipment. They're going to be under your insurance. They're going to be not so much an urban, but we did Epping Forest. And we charged £10 a head because they were using our equipment. They were under our insurance. We've done the work. I love the sound of that, Gemma.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
I've covered my mic over and everything.
This is the beauty of a pop-up show, everybody. It's a warts and all.
I was trying to disguise that. At least I'm not filing my nails tonight.
Well, this is true.
We're all sitting having a nice quiet Sunday, and then Kerry appears and goes, pop up.
Anyone want a pop-up show? And they're all like, oh God, really? So, but but again, there are still costs involved in that. When you look at insurance and you're looking at your equipment. I mean, I took some because I had my kids' crystals. So when I went out into the field, I had pendulums, and one of those got broken. Now, all right, that's not £10 worth, but we also had kit with us, like technical kit. We had, we'd done the research, we'd put the time and the effort into organising it and recceing it and, doing that work. So although it was completely free, there was also the forest registry licence thing that we had to get. So even that as a free location wasn't kind of free because it still incurred costs to the team. So
it does.
Which it does. So when anybody says, we're doing a free location, again, it comes under criticism. So I don't think that people should criticise people for charging an amount. All right, don't go stupid. I mean, we couldn't do Epping Forest and say 50 quid a head, everybody, because that's taking the mick, quite frankly. But, a nominal £10 a head covered all those costs and barely covered those costs, quite frankly. I did another one at Hot Few Words.
I think this is the problem that we've got now, though. People criticise everything. Yeah. Absolutely everything. You can't do anything without somebody wanting to have their 2 pennies worth, which is fine. Freedom of speech. Everybody's entitled to say what they think. But unless you actually know what goes into it and you've done your research, then don't criticise.
This is the thing, people don't take into account. They think, oh, you just go book a location and set up an event and that's it.
Yeah.
I really do wish
people
it was.
don't get it.
They don't understand the time and the effort that goes into that months before it.
Yeah, you find your location, then you have to go round and do a recce, then you have to do your health and safety check. It's just never ending. From the minute you say to yourself, oh, I won't mind that location, it's just continuous work. Your risk assessments alone, they can take hours depending on the location.
That's true.
Just very true. So come at it from a different angle then. How about from the spiritual perspective?
As in, what do you mean?
So a medium charging for their services to do a reading for you, or a tarot reader, or something along those lines. Because again, they come under criticisms for charging. Oh, if they charge,
it's still a service.
Then it's no good. I agree.
It's a service.
I agree.
It's somebody that, yes, fair enough, they've got a gift, but they are taking their time to do that reading or whatever, the open circle, whatever. They are spending their free time when they could be with family or friends, but instead they're giving up their time to spend with you. So it's a service.
Yeah.
Isn't it also about value, though? If you are a good medium, then you, I don't know about you, but like they get booked out quite quickly. I mean, I've got one lady that, oh God, it's like 6 months, that, would you like to tell everybody what you'd like? Sorry, my son has decided to come down and wants to talk to me because he's lurking.
I don't want to talk to you.
Right, then go away, please.
Can I get the URL so I can...
I am live.
Yeah, I can read you.
Okay, so but you get, like, say she's booked out solidly for 6 months. This is the time of night where we have an ailment that happens, everybody. So I was just wondering what ailment was going to come tonight. Last night was verruca. Tonight it could be gangrene, for all I know.
Toes have fallen off or something.
It's 11 o'clock every night. There's an ailment of some form comes down the stairs and is branded in front of me like I'm a nurse or something. Anyway, so like 6 months, booked solidly. She does it as a business, and she charges a set amount for an hour, but she's that good. Right, yeah. She is that good, and she is charging for her time and money. Now, I also know from the flip side, she also does a lot for charity, where she doesn't charge for her services. So she does give back, but for her main job, her main day stay is charged for readings. She's that good. She gets booked out solidly for 6 months, and you have to book that far in advance. But again, there's this ethos of, well, you shouldn't charge, because if it's spirit want to give a message, then they'll give a message freely. But if they're going to use you as a channel, it's energy, time. It, like you say, it takes you away from your friends and family, and you've invested. You've also invested a learning process into that, because nobody wakes up one day and goes, I'm getting spirit, messages from spirit. I've got your Uncle Bob here. You know what I mean? It takes time to learn. Do you know what I mean? You have to sit in circle. You develop. You tune yourself. You have to work that, don't you? Thanks, Henry. You have to work that. Like tarot reading. I've read tarot for 30 years. When I first picked up a deck, there's no way I would have charged for a reading because I was learning. No. But now I do charge because I've done 30 years of learning and experiencing and reading and constantly evolving that gift, and now I charge, and I don't have any worries charging at all.
The way I see it is, you wouldn't get in a taxi and get it to take you from A to B without paying. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, especially when it comes to mediums, because there is so many cold readers out there.
This is the thing.
It's difficult.
Mediums, like your friend who's booked up months in advance, that's taking years and years for her reputation to build up to that. It's not just happened overnight.
No. She ain't just woken up and put, I'm now a medium, everybody, booking with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's reputation, and she gets people going back to her time and time and time again.
Because she's good at what she does.
She's good at what she does.
She's built that up, like Kaz said, she's built it up over X amount of time. Why shouldn't she get paid for it?
I'm totally with you guys, but again, there's this ethos of, well, you shouldn't charge. I think that's. Oh, she's off again.
Can you still hear it?
Yeah, we can still hear you, love.
Oh, give up. No
but
vaping
there is
now.
this ethos. So, what other taboo topics are there? Subjects are there, or taboo areas are there that we shouldn't?
Oh, there's just so many. There's loads. It's like people under the age of 16 ghost hunting, and I say people because I've got a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
He loves ghost hunting. It is better than most adults, but I do get a lot of criticism for that because people are saying, well, you shouldn't be letting him do that. Well,
You've had this, Kaz, haven't you?
We have had this. As most people know, Melody is part of the entity seeker, but she isn't. It's really when she has time to be bothered fitting it in. But I mean, Melody was 17 years old, and her first big investigation, I would say big one, was 30 East Drive. But she'd done lots of little ones with us before that. I mean, Melody I would take. My other kids, other 4 kids, not a snowball's chance in hell I would take in and out into absolute chaos. But Melody has spent years being interested in the subject, learning about the subject, learning about protection. She wasn't blindly going in.
Yeah, you see, my son's like that. He's done his homework. He knows exactly what's what. Yeah. I mean, he's not 16 till the beginning of next year, but I take him with me because I would rather take him with me and know that he's safe than let him go out with his mates, get a cornflake box and draw a Ouija board. Do you know what I mean? I would rather know that he's safe. And if that's by letting him experience that with me, then so be it.
I have to say I'm the same as Kaz. There's one I probably would take and one, nah, not a chance.
Yeah, you see, I would never take my daughter. If you so much as mentioned ghost hunting around her, she's like, oh, I don't like it.
So that does depend on the child, doesn't it? And we're not talking like a 5 or 6 year old. We're talking like teenagers, children. Yeah. You know, that's
and
the
only
age we're
if
talking
they're
about.
mentally stable. I mean, let's be realistic. Some teenagers are not mentally stable enough to handle that.
Alice, perfect
or
example.
mature enough to be able to go.
No.
It's about knowing the individuals. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't really plan on ever doing a kiddie event, if you like. There's no way I would say bring a coach load of kids and let's go ghost hunting.
Let's go.
That's never going to happen.
Purely for the under 16s.
Oh, God. I don't think I could think of anything worse.
It would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean, like Melody's done all the work and done the homework. I could take Melody to. She's been to Pendle Hill, she's been to De Grey Street, she's been to 30 East Drive, she's been to these places. I could take her along to any event and I could trust Melody to look after a group. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. I don't use Ouija boards, but I did buy one because everybody kept complaining when I turned up at an event and didn't have one. So I bought one and it was literally sitting on my kitchen table. Now Alice, my youngest, who's 15, comes in from school and she went, "What's that?" I went, "Not for you." And she picks it up. Next thing all I heard was, "Oh, can we summon demons with this?" I went, "Oh my goodness." You know what I mean?
Like, no, child, step away.
Like, no. And that's the difference between them. Do you know what I mean? They're all different. It's down to the parent. The parent knows the child. Nobody else
definitely.
does.
Mm-hmm. So, other taboos. What are other taboos? What else can we think of? I know one that caused quite a stir on the socials was getting into a coffin was a taboo that kicked off on the old socials.
I would do it.
I think I must have missed that one then.
I would do it.
Yeah, I would. Well, I have. I can't sit here and say that I would do it because I already have. So, at the end of the day, it's a coffin.
Yeah.
It's it's not going to be there if it's being used.
You're not going to get in it with another body in there.
No, I'm not going to share a coffin. There wouldn't be enough room.
That's just a little weird.
And it's a location I'm going to, and they do have a transportational coffin, and they've had it for years and years.
Hull.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually ask them if I can have it when I do the event on the 27th of October. Ask them if we can have it out. Why not? It's there. And it's been used something like 10,000 times, but they've had it for like 10 years. But I would have a problem getting in.
Child is now in the chat room.
I'll get in the coffin. It doesn't bother me.
What spirit would want to stay in a coffin?
I have to say, for me,
Yeah.
personally, it's the ooh factor. It's got nothing to do with whether ethics or anything like that. It's just the ooh factor of it. I don't see. I just know, but that's personal. That's got nothing to do with I'm scared or I feel it's disrespectful. Because, like you, I agree with you. There ain't gonna. In my personal opinion, would be. I won't stay in my coffin when I'm dead. I won't be in the coffin,
Well,
but,
I'm off to the Bahamas.
Yeah, I'm going to haunt all you paranormal teams and, start talking through SP7s and, poking you and rattling chains and stuff to give you all great amusement.
So at least everybody is now aware.
Yeah, you'll soon realise that there is life after life. I'm telling you now when I'm dead.
There you go, people. You'll all turn on your SB11 years from now and all you hear is, empty fancy a pop-up show.
Or click like and subscribe.
Yeah, click like, share and subscribe. They'll be like, oh God, that Kerry Greenaway, will she not go away? We thought we'd got rid of her when she died. We're still hearing her goddamn voice. But no, I mean, I wouldn't stay there. So I don't really kind of get the disrespect of what people were saying. It was disrespectful. I don't really get that. I kind of went, ew, oh, why? Because the cleanliness and that side of it. But that's just a personal thing. That's got nothing to do with anything else.
I think I see death slightly different because that was my career. That is what I did. I ran an enhanced dementia unit, and when somebody was approaching end of life, it would be me that looked after them. So I've sat with many of people and held the hand while they've taken the last breath, and then I've had to, as horrible as this sounds, I've had to wash them and change them and wait for the undertakers to come and collect them and set them off. So I think I see things slightly differently because I'm used to that. To me, that's not it's just normal.
So here's a question then. All the times that you were doing that, watching that transition for people, did you witness anything? I don't know how to put this.
Did you see them physically change? Did you see a change?
Did you see the spirit leave?
Completely.
Thanks,
Honestly, and it was doing that job that reinforced my passion for wanting to find out what was going on when somebody had passed away. So it's mainly thanks to that. I mean, I did that for 15 years. 15 years I worked in care homes. And during that whole time, I would be off investigating on an evening or a weekend as well. And yeah, I mean, I've been with people and they've been in so much pain, it's unreal. And then just all of a sudden, they've opened their eyes, they've looked, and when I say they've looked at someone, they've looked at someone. It's as if somebody has stood there.
Yes.
And I've seen people have like a single tear come down their face before taking the last breath, or reach an arm out as if to grab hold of someone. I've seen so much happen when somebody is taking their last breath that it's remarkable. You can't really explain the feeling that you get from it. You have to actually see it. But it's I don't know, it's quite comforting, if you like.
Have you ever had that experience, Kaz?
When I was with my dad, when he passed, there was myself, my mum, my sister, my brother, and my eldest daughter and her other half, and we're all round this bed. My dad passed from cancer nearly 5 years ago, but he looked right past all of us and says, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Since then, he has come through a medium, a well-known medium back in Scotland, and he said his mum came to get him, and I thought, how cheeky was that then? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Mum, where's my tea?
Not hello, mum, or anything, just what are you doing here? I was like,
what are you
wow.
doing here? Honestly, the things that I've seen it's phenomenal. Even down to
But you look directly at
completely
an empty space in the room.
Yeah. But you can feel it. You can feel the atmosphere in the room changing as well, which is even more weird because especially when you're working, you're so focused on making sure that individual that needs your care is getting the proper care that they need. Or even just, I've sat and held hands for hours just because I didn't want somebody to pass away and be alone because I don't like that thought. So I'd sit and hold hands and the room would go cold or the curtains would move or there'd be a noise over by the wardrobe and then you'd look and then you would turn back just as the person was taking the last breath.
But we spent like 2 or 3 days basically in a room with my dad. And I've got a huge family on both my mum and my dad's side. So everybody was called when the doctor said, you need to call everybody because there's no way it's going to last much longer. And literally, we had family in the corridors and in the family room, and they were all over the place. But everybody put the phones on silent, and this is the thing, people's phones kept dinging and things, and they kept looking at the phones and going, my phone's on silent, how is that doing that? And I'm sitting thinking, because it's more just us in this room.
Yeah.
And I could feel it. And I could feel it, but you can't say that because that would just freak them all out, so you can't say it.
But you can feel like the electric in the air.
Yeah.
It just comes just out of nowhere and it's like, oh, what's that? And then moments later...
Yeah.
It's just, it's fascinating.
I've never had that experience where I've been with somebody as they've transitioned.
I've never been in Kaz's situation, thankfully. I'm not sure how I would cope with that personally. But working-wise, I can't say that I was never attached to the people that I was looking after because you can't look after somebody 7 days a week and not become attached.
Yeah.
But I've never had to see a loved one pass away. So I take my hat off to you for that one, Kaz.
My friend's daughter is actually a cancer nurse. She works on a cancer ward. And she's not really into the paranormal at all. She just kind of goes, all right, whatever. But she has turned around and said to me, when someone passes, you feel there's other people in that room.
Mm.
Besides the people who are physically there, she has said that.
Yeah, and it's down to like the old wives' tales, and I'm sure everybody will have heard this one, but when somebody's passing away, open the window to let the spirit out.
Yeah.
I've always done that, always.
There's a lot of beliefs, isn't there, surrounding that moment of transition.
Yeah.
Of like, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Like afterwards, it's that everyone should have their curtains closed.
Yeah. My mum is kind of old-fashioned, and her outlook of it is, like the person should leave from their own home. So like after they've passed away, they should be brought home, and the wake should be at home, and they'll then go to church and you'll have the ceremony and whatever. But all the curtains have got to stay shut, TVs have got to stay off, radios have got to stay off, and that's the way it stays until after the funeral. And it took nearly 3 weeks for my dad's funeral. Oh. So you can imagine with teenagers and all sorts about, it wasn't...
Oh, I should imagine it was mayhem.
The kids took off every now and again up to my eldest daughter's house. So, we'd send the kids up there if they were getting too restless.
Well, Well, kids can't live without technology these days.
Exactly, but you've got to respect that view. You've got to respect the way that's the way they see it should be done. So you've got to respect that.
So, ladies, going on then, how would you like to transition?
Ooh.
Not like how would you like to die, because obviously we all want to go in our sleep and it will be lovely.
I was going to say, can we plan that?
Yeah, no, not that bit, but, like once, how would you like your funeral to be?
I would like to have an ecologically sound casket. I don't want to be embalmed. I just want to be put in the earth and go back to the earth.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
Now, you see, I want to be cremated for the simple reason I want to be 100% sure that I'm gone.
This is the thing. I have a problem with that. I don't know what it is. And my kids have actually made a joke because we were talking about funerals, and I kept saying that lately I've been to 3 funerals in the past year, and every one of them's been a cremation. And I'm going, it seems to be the done thing now is to be cremated. And I've said to my kids, you are not burning me. I'm sorry, but you're not burning me. And one of my kids actually turned around and said, yeah, that's a witch thing, isn't it?
The thing is, I think the problem is with the burial thing is at one point it became an issue because we were running out of spaces in, the belief system of churchyards. I mean, going back in the day, when we looked into London, they were like something like 50,000 deaths a day in London, and they run out of space in London, and they had to open external cemeteries, which is where Highgate came into it, Brookwood came into it, which led onto the Necropolis Railway, and things like that. And I think that drove the perception that it's easier to get rid of the bodies basically by burning.
Yeah.
And so the move back to an ecological even way of burial has evolved, because we're not saying we want to be put into a graveyard where with a tombstone and with our families, which used to be the old day, you used to have a plot and you all used to go into one, and if you were really rich you'd have a mausoleum where you'd all go into the mausoleum. The drive towards the ecological factor is actually going into woods and building. They're like pods now you can go into. You shared it today, didn't you? You can go into like a pod, and that's a tree sapling out of it as well, and you become part of the tree.
I think that's a wonderful idea, though.
I think that's a great idea. Replace what we take.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really nice, but I want to be sure that I am gone before I'm buried.
I won't mention any names, but I mean, I literally have a friend who's that terrified that when she does pass, she won't actually be passed, and it'll be a big mistake, and she'll actually still be alive.
Yeah.
So
well, the only reason I think like that is because my granddad actually, he was classed as deceased 7 times. 7 times they said that he had passed away, and then his heart starts beating again. So for that reason, I want to be sure.
Yeah, I would understand that.
Well, that's really bad luck, though, if you got put into the furnace and you would, oh gosh, it's a bit hot.
But even if you wasn't already gone, you're not coming back from that, and you're not going to be buried alive. So,
well, you could always do the old Victorian thing where they used to have a bell attached to the wrist.
Yeah.
So if there was a big fear in the Victorian period as well of being buried alive. So because of certain diseases,
they do say
into a coma.
If you go right back, you will find that there are people who have been buried alive.
Yeah,
there are cases of that. So that's why in some cemeteries you'll see a bell above some of the graves. Or they used. I haven't seen one recently. I think they've all been removed. But just in case you came round, and you could ring your bell, and they'd dig you back up again, because there was a fear of being buried
You'd
alive.
have a long wait, though, wouldn't you?
You'd freak right out.
What if it was on a night time when you come round and everybody's off having a good old sleep?
Yeah.
Or they're all at the wake, so they're all getting drunk down the pub, and you're like ringing your bell, going, "Well, someone please wake me back up again. I'm not dead yet."
The pine.
laughing about things that are quite macabre.
No, you see, I think you have to. 2 minutes, especially, again, this comes back to my old job, because so many people didn't discuss their wishes, what they wanted when they was dying or after death. And then it's left to the family to decide. More people should be discussing how they want their death to be.
I'll be completely honest. My children are not organising mine. I am.
Yeah.
My parents
Mine's
have
all
already
done.
organised theirs. Yeah, my parents have already organised theirs.
I'm not leaving it to my kids.
No, too many
No
people
way.
don't discuss it. I think you should be quite... Yes, it's not the best subject to be discussing. I mean, you're not going to have that conversation over your Sunday lunch.
Oh, my parents
Oh,
did.
yeah. By the way. Did they?
Oh, yeah. By the way, guys, we just so you know, we have a funeral plan in place. And me and my sister just sort of like looked at each other, put our nose to forks and was like, oh,
Lovely.
Okay. So,
What's for dessert?
Yeah. Okay, thanks for sharing. You know, lovely. I know they want to take that, but do you not think that's part of the grieving process, though, for the living that's left behind? That's part of the grieving process, that arranging and taking care of the after.
But just
moment.
because your funeral plan's in place
Doesn't mean
to say that you're still, as the loved ones, will still be taking part, because mum, dad, granddad, aunt Thelma, whoever is going to be saying, this is what I want. So you're still going to have to find an outfit. You're still going to have to find the music, pallbearers. You know, you're still going to have all that to do. So you will still be able to go through those steps of grieving.
Yeah, because that's part of it. Is actually part of the grieving process is to be busy, isn't it? It gives you that purpose that you're still able to do something for the person, even though that person isn't with us anymore. It's still part of that process for the people that are behind, left behind, really.
Yeah.
I think that's quite important. If every detail was planned, I think that I don't think I'd... Well, I know they have. I know which music my mum wants and dad wants when they go. I know what they want. And it's like, oh, so... Okay, thanks. Don't get me wrong, it's great. Thanks very much. We know exactly what you want, and that's fantastic. But on the other side, when that happens, yes, we still have the house to sort out, and we'll still have the financial side of things to sort out, and we'll still have, the other bits and bobs. But what can you still do for that person gets taken away from you. And yes, although that's their wishes, because that's what they wanted, they're up on their cloud doing whatever it is you do when you pass over, when you've transitioned. It's more important for the living than it is for the person who died.
And that's what I was just going to say. It's not about the person that's gone once they've passed away. It's about yourself.
Yeah.
It's about the people that are left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably not a popular view, but I think there should be, with funerals, there should be a bit of humour in there somewhere. There's got to be something
definitely.
to make people laugh. There's got to be... Classic example, I won't say too much, but coming from Scotland, everyone knows about Celtic and Rangers. I had an amazing uncle who was the biggest Rangers fan in the world. But also knows a lot of Celtic supporters, and he wanted every man who attended his funeral to wear a Rangers tie. So you could basically tell who were the Celtic supporters. You didn't think to happen. But it was just so funny, and that was him all over, just getting that bit of humour into it.
Yeah.
I think that's
But isn't
important.
that what the wake is about? Everyone cheers up at the wake.
That's the alcohol.
Telling the funny stories. But telling funny stories, that's the way you remember the person that's passed. Whereas the funeral isn't. It's about laying them to rest in whatever fashion they wanted. The wake is where you start embracing the life that person had. And laughing about those funny jokes. Oh, God, do you remember when Uncle Bob did this? And, oh, my word, and I've never been so embarrassed in my life when he had his kilt above his head and doing the okey cokey down the street. Stuff like that. And then everyone goes, oh, yeah, Uncle Bob was just like that. And, it's embracing the person at the wake and being open and being able to talk about it and laugh and cry and do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the way I look at it, it's simple.
I'm not.
We're all going to die at some point.
Yeah,
we're all going to leave.
Life.
Fact of life. All
it's one sure thing, I suppose.
Yeah. So, I mean, shouldn't we be... It should be discussed amongst families how things should go. It should be, but it isn't a comfortable subject. People don't want to face their own mortality.
Is it their own mortality or somebody else's mortality? So, like,
all
when
of it.
I was going to say, when my mum and dad were talking to me about their death, their funeral arrangements, it was like, I say, both me and my sister was like stunned that we were like, oh, okay, well, that's okay, that's fine. But when I was in the hospital, I remember sitting there and my mum was sitting next to me and it was touch and go. And I basically got her to write my will out because I hadn't got a will and I was really worried because I didn't have a will. And she was like, I really don't need to be doing this. It's like, no, you really do need to be doing this. And it must have really been upsetting for her to do that, actually, at that point.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult concept, isn't it, to get your head around? As the person who's considering the other person going, we can look at our own mortality actually easier.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I already know what I want. Kaz already knows what she wants. You already know what you want.
Yeah, I do. I know I know exactly what I want. I've got the playlist sorted and all. You lot are going to be
You've done a
raving big
playlist?
time. Huh?
You've done a playlist?
Yeah, for the wake.
I'm not.
If you don't like hardcore house mixes, then you're out of luck, I'm afraid. It's hardcore house mixes all the way. I'm afraid you'll be lights out, glow bands at dawn.
Glow stick. You can't go wrong with a glow stick.
They'll be like, oh God, she was 90 and she's still playing these old tunes.
But that's the thing. I mean, people pass away suddenly as well in accidents and things like that. And when things like that happen, personally with my dad, we found out he was ill on the Thursday. They told us he had 3 to 6 months on the Friday, and he passed away in the month.
Oh my God.
Gosh.
So it all happened really quickly. I mean, if that was quickly to me, but if somebody's been in a horrible accident or something and passed away, and they've never had that discussion, not only are the family in complete distress because of what's happened, they don't know what that person wanted because nobody wanted to have that discussion.
True, but there's with a sudden passing, like that, the shock factor.
Exactly. Yeah. Total distress. The family being total distress, and plus they've got the added stress of not knowing what that person wanted because they've never had that discussion.
It's uncomfortable, but I think everybody should have it.
Should have it. Yeah. It's not ideal, but it should have it.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, then going on to, and this is a bit of a controversial one, and it's something that's come up in the chat room, which is about organ donor.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm for it. I'm completely for it. If you can make use of it to give somebody else extended life, then go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's my personal opinion.
Yes.
I don't feel that once I've passed, my body is being desecrated in any way by using organs and passing them on to somebody else that can use them. That's my personal opinion. Okay, so what is your opinion on that, ladies?
Well, I'm already a donor. I've got a donor card. I'm already signed up.
Yeah, same here.
So am I, but I actually have a friend, we were talking about this, and she is signed up as a donor, but she's agreed to donate everything except her corneas. And I said, so why would you not want to donate your corneas? And she went, well, I won't see where I'm going.
Oh.
And she literally believes that. So she said, you can have anything except my corneas, don't touch my eyes.
You see, I think if you can, as upsetting it as it is when somebody passes away, if you can save a life,
it's worth it.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah,
It's
I'm with you, girls.
compassionate.
I say you've got no use for that physical shell then.
No. I mean, I get why, I can sort of understand why people wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, would you, if you think of it as, I don't know, your partner's heart in somebody else's body, you know, and
But
that
then
heart's
some people
attached
find
to
that
you,
but that in some cases has been incredibly comforting.
Yeah.
Hearing that heartbeat, even though it's in somebody else's body, you know that's.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen those videos, haven't we, on shared on the socials, where that's been an incredible comfort, particularly when it's a young person, like a child, and it's gone on and been donated.
Yeah.
But I agree, sign up. But how can you expect a child to make that kind of decision? It's you who has to make that decision.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that decision has
that
to
must
be made.
be awful.
Yeah.
See, as much as I'm a donor, if I'm being totally honest, if one of my children, God forbid it ever happens, but if one of my children was to pass away, would I be able to sign and say, take their organs? Sitting here now, I don't know, because I don't know how I'd feel at that time. Mm-hmm. Your emotions are going to take over.
Yeah.
Of course they
Logical thinking just goes out of the window.
Yeah.
Well, here's one for you. This was a conversation I had years ago because I had looked into years ago. Like I said, I'm not into cremation. And for a while, I was contemplating the idea of donating my body to science, which I thought would be a useful thing to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
The response I got from family to that was, you're not doing it, you're completely selfish.
I don't understand how that's selfish. They're wanting to improve medical science.
They said that if you do that, then how are we meant to come visit you?
You see, I do get that. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I thought the criticism was quite harsh because they weren't taking my views about it.
But yeah, you see, I don't think that's selfish on your part.
Yeah.
As horrible as this may sound, I think that's more selfish on the family's point of view, because they want somewhere to go to visit. But then I would want a place as well. But having a special place for somebody doesn't have to be where the body is.
That's true. That's true.
No, I agree. It's such
my
a
special
difficult
place
one,
will be
isn't
the
it?
pub. Feel free to come and join me.
Yeah, same here, love. Yeah. I'll have my own chair. I've got
the
my own
bar
chair.
in the Bahamas.
What am I talking? Yeah, I'm talking. What am I talking about? I've got my own chair. I've paid for that 20 million times over. The whole subject, I mean, you know, we've kind of come away from taboos of the paranormal to going on to that process and how the different aspects of that people come up against and the transitioning of that, which sort of like came up in the previous show when we was talking about the Afterlife Project. And this is something Jane Harris is looking into a lot with her Afterlife Project, isn't it? So let's have a look at this. What is your personal belief of what happens when you transition? See, I call it transitioning, not dying.
Yeah, I call it passing over.
That for me is important. It's a transition.
I do quite like the sound of transition, actually. I do like that. It sounds a lot better than death.
Yeah.
Death is final. Transitioning isn't.
I believe that your soul leaves your body, your soul is then free, and it's just, to me, our world and the spirit world are parallel universes. So you're just moving into the next parallel. You're moving
the next step.
The next universe. You're still there. You just physically cannot be seen. Your soul physically cannot be seen.
Yeah, you see, I think I would go with that one too.
Your body's just a vessel.
You just, and it is. That's all a body is.
Yeah, it's a vessel.
So, okay, do we believe in reincarnation?
I believe there's a lot of evidence of it.
Yeah.
Especially with children who know things, I mean, that happened a good 80 years before they were born and things like that. That's real strange. That is very strange.
Yeah, you see, especially if it, like you say, it's been a long time since the we'll call it an incident, since an incident happened, and for a child that has been born several years later, it's not on the news, it's not discussed, then how would a child pick up on all this information? I mean, there's lots of TV shows, isn't there?
Yeah.
That are specifically about reincarnation.
I remember watching a show a few years ago. It was a documentary, and it was about this little boy. And I think he was only about 4 or 5 years old, but he kept taking his family. They lived in India. He kept taking his family to a town that was completely separate from where they lived, and pointing out the house where they used to live, and that was his auntie, and that was his wife, and that was his kids, and, and th're like, what? And he's only like 4 or 5. So that is fascinating.
See, how would he come up with all that?
Exactly. Where would he know where to go? Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, there is a lot of evidence for reincarnation. It's fascinating, isn't it?
I mean, if we're totally honest, we're not going to know the answer to that one until our time comes.
This is very true. This is very, very true. So, ladies, seems like a good point to start wrapping this up. We've been on air nearly an hour. Quickly, what have you got coming up tomorrow, Gemma?
Tomorrow, the Supernatural show is on at 9:00, and we are joined by psychic medium Stephanie. She's all the way from the US, so that's going to be very interesting to get their point of view and how it differs from over there to over here. So yeah, that's tomorrow night's show. So Stephanie will be joining us.
Excellent.
Kaz, what are you going to be doing?
Oh, on Thursday I am talking to Bear Medicine Walker and Jamie Krashner, and we're talking about good versus evil.
Cool. I'm looking forward to both of those shows. And on Sunday I'm talking to Lisa Michaels. We're talking about self-responsibility.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about with Lisa, and Claire, I believe, will be joining me in the studio for that one again. And we're going to have self-responsibility. And this is more on a spiritual life, you know, law of attraction, manifesting type of way. That side of it. So that's what we're talking about on Sunday. Anyway, if you want to hear what everybody else is up to this week, join me live in the Parasearch Radio group page. I will be going live roughly around 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on my children, whether or not they're going to behave or not, which clearly they didn't tonight, to give you a roundup of all the shows and all the goings on that Parasearch have been up to for this week. We have shows going out pretty much every night of the week, apart from Fridays and Saturdays these days. And we love to hear from you. So if there's anything you'd like us to say or get a guest on or do a blog on or do a show on, let us know through the parasearch.org website, where you can also check out our blogs. Don't forget, we're also on the YouTube channel, so click like, share and subscribe. And on that note,
she loves doing that, doesn't she?
And on that note, ladies, say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.